Hey everybody, MisterPxls here with a two-parter tier list. This is a tier list done with Purdy, who has been a friend of mine for a while, has been a friend of Pink Pixels for a while, and we have finally got a chance to collaborate on a topic that we both really like, which is Telltale games. For those of you who don't know Telltale games, they are decision-driven story games. They have many really good IPs, such as The Walking Dead, Batman, Borderlands, Game of Thrones, Guardians of the Galaxy, and we are going to go through the main Telltale games since The Walking Dead was released, which was a while ago. Now, I played these episodically when they first came out. They used to be released in different parts every few weeks, so I had to have a little refresher, and Purdy's played some of them more recently than that. I think this is a really good overview of the games. Like I said, we've had to split it into two parts because there's a lot to talk about, and I hope you enjoy it. If you do, please like and subscribe. Put a comment down below if you agree with what we've put each game at, or if you've got some points where you think actually this one should be higher, or you're wrong, this one definitely should be lower. Hope you enjoy it. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I shall see you in part 2. Okay, Telltale games. We love them. We think they're really good. We play them a lot. So we're going to decide which ones we actually love the most, like you do with children. No, you don't. But we'll be going through the series. We'll be going through the series from start to finish. So this will be all of the Walking Deads. The other games that you can see here as well. There's 3 of them that we're not going to be rating. So Guardians of the Galaxy, because neither of us have played it, and the Minecraft ones because they're not available anymore. You can't get them, even if you were to try and buy it, unless it's like a hard copy. You won't get the rest of the episodes. You'll just get episode 1, which is a bit rubbish. So we're going to skip those 3. So as you can see, it's not just me here. We have Purdy, a special guest. Purdy, do you want to do a quick introduction of yourself, just for anyone who doesn't know you?
Hello. I am me. I've played a lot of Telltale games. I do a fun mix of cute, wholesome games, and this. It's a very interesting contrast for sure. I love how you said Walking Dead and other games. They're the only ones that matter here.
Well, if somebody says Telltale story games, I think the first one you think of is The Walking Dead.
I think it's probably the most iconic. Yeah.
Yeah, the first one, the first true story one isn't actually on here, which is Jurassic Park, which I've actually done on YouTube.
What about Back to the Future? Back to the Future was there. That had some story to it.
It's not bad.
It was more point and clicky though, from what I remember. It's
not bad, but just to finish off, so Purdy does play a lot of Telltale games, and a lot of other really wholesome games. So she does them on Twitch. So there's a link to her Twitch channel down below. And this is the first collaboration you've done for a video?
For a video, yes. I've done one collaborative stream before, not including community streams, and that was Animal Crossing with my friend, forever ago. But
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, first big collaborative thing.
Yeah, so...
Positive start to the new year.
Positive start to the new year, and hopefully we'll see you a bit more on some other videos that I might do. More tier lists. Might do...
I'm always happy to help.
Yeah. Might do wholesome games. Maybe you could do one with... Animal Crossing games, and I can just pop in and go, I've only played one.
God.
Could you imagine?
I don't think I could tier them. That's an impossible task. I should point out, before we go into this, I'm known for being awful with decisions.
Yes.
So this is going to be real fun.
Which is ironic, considering that these games are wholly decision-based games.
Choice-based, yeah. It's been a challenge. I was real pleased when I introduced a pause mechanic.
Yeah? Yeah, when the timer's just going down, dun 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 dun, somebody dies. So, okay.
Also, why
Cool.
we do it on Twitch, because then I can get chat involved on decisions I can't make.
Yep. I haven't. Have I? Which ones have I streamed? So I've streamed Jurassic Park,
Yep, Batman.
Batman, and I'm still halfway through season 2 of Batman. But I have played all of them except Guardians of the Galaxy and the Minecraft ones,
Yeah.
albeit a long time ago. The reason I played them is because they're easy
Yeah.
platinums. So that's on
Oh.
PlayStation. If you get the platinum trophy after getting all the rest of them, quite easy. Okay, so we have the first one then. The one that really kind of broke Telltale games into the mainstream for these kind of episodic games, and I think it probably helped that it came out at the same time as the TV show, more or less, and it's The Walking Dead Season 1. Now,
I've never seen the TV show, but I love Lee and Clem so much.
yeah, to be totally transparent with everyone, we had to have a quick run-through before this of what happened.
It's been
Because
a while.
it's been a while. I mean, this came out in... This must be nearly 10 years old, this game. I think 10 years old for me is not that much. But for some people it's half their lifetime, almost.
I played this when I was really little. I was far too young to be playing this when I did.
Yeah. It was
I
pretty...
turned 22 this year, so I was pretty young then.
Yeah, so you'll have been just into high school. And I will have been working for a
Probably.
while. So
Lee is hands down the video game character death that's probably affected me most. And I think it probably would have been regardless of when I played it, but the timing of like how young I was maybe had some kind of impact on that. I don't know.
yeah. I'll put a spoiler alert at the beginning of this because
Please do.
yeah, so the first game had the ultimate decision right at the end. So there's a lot of decisions during this game where it is life or death for some people.
It's not during all of them that are life or death for people.
But this is life or death of the character you've actually been playing all the way through. And at the end of this one, you do have to make a decision on... Well, I mean, he's going to die anyway, but you make a decision on whether you're going to sort of end his suffering or you're going to let him turn.
It is heartbreaking.
But I mean, you take him from... So as a character, you start with him going to jail. He's just been... I don't know if it's murder. I think he's killed someone, whether it was accidental...
He has killed someone, but I don't know if it was murder or manslaughter. He shot the guy that's having an affair with his wife, I think.
Yeah, so he kills someone. Then there's a crash, because this is right just as the Walking Dead kind of apocalypse starts. It crashes, he gets out, and encounters his first walker. And then you meet Clem, who you then go on this whole journey to find her parents. So it starts in Atlanta. I think that's where they are. And then they end up having to go a fair distance to the other side of the country. And as you go along, you meet multiple different people. Go on, Purdy, you're looking confused.
Did we start in Atlanta, or did we get to Atlanta?
I think he was on his way to Atlanta.
I know that Atlanta's where the pharmacy is, because it's where he's from, isn't it? But I remember a lot more like, we're not from here, so I don't know. Don't we take the RV from the farm to somewhere?
So you're going towards one city or something. I can't remember.
Yeah.
It might be Atlanta, it might not be. But yeah, I think you're right. The pharmacy's in Atlanta. That's where he's from. So you might have been going away from there to prison. But you meet quite a lot of people along the way. There's
Lily. What was her dad's name? Larry?
Angry Larry.
Lily, Larry. Kenny, Katya, Duck, Carly, Doug.
You also meet Glenn.
Glenn. Glenn was the other one. Glenn was sweet. I liked Glenn.
So for those of you who have read the graphic novels or have seen the TV show, Glenn is in this game as well for a short period of time. I don't think a lot happens. I think he's the one who mainly does a lot of running and jumping, parkour kind of stuff.
He was like a lot of the motivation to do things. Like when we went to the motel initially, that was with him because he wanted to go save that girl, and he was taking a while, so we found him.
Yeah. But then there's also stuff like cannibalism and squishing people's heads. We won't go too much into it, but the thing is, every episode. So this was the first 5, episode 1. Every episode ended on a cliffhanger.
Never like a relaxed moment.
It wasn't. Yeah, there was never any chill at all.
Go, go, go! Everyone is suffering.
Yeah.
How can you minimize the suffering for the people you care about?
And the decisions in this one actually felt really, really impactful. Mainly because somebody died almost every decision, or somebody got injured. And there was a lot of twists and turns as well, and a lot of stuff that was introduced as part of the Walking Dead universe that tied in with the TV show, so it made it a really good reference point for those that were transitioning from the TV show to the games. So in my opinion, then, if we're to scale it, if we're to rank it, it is the OG. It had a really, really good storyline. Yeah. It is an S tier, or it is the S tier.
I'd say it just in general, like video game history, it was quite impactful.
Yeah.
Like if you ask people their most iconic video game deaths, at least one is in there.
Possibly 2.
Like, it did a lot for the choose your own adventure story games in general.
Yeah.
I think it really brought them to popularity a bit more. I don't know. Words are hard. But
yeah.
It felt like it was a big thing for the genre.
It made it more mainstream.
And it was a very impactful game for a lot of people.
Yeah, and it was quite, not revolutionary, but it was something that people could just pick up and play, and the fact that there's so many decisions, there was a lot of replayability. So, and
it also wasn't like the gameplay was inaccessible for a lot of people. It wasn't like there was a lot of things that a player that doesn't normally play games couldn't do, because it wasn't so heavy on the actual gameplay. It was a lot more choose the thing.
Yeah, there wasn't so many, I think they're called quick time events, which are when, button will come up and it'll like mash X or
no parkour, just like
tap on some stuff. Yeah, it was mainly walk around. The only thing I would say for it is that there wasn't much in the way of secondary activities, such as like collectibles and anything like that. But that was actually introduced in the next game, which we'll go on to now, which is The Wolf Among Us.
This is actually going to be a reaction for all of them. We were like, this one, I love it so much.
Yeah. The Wolf Among Us is a game based on a graphic novel series called Fables, and it is following Bigby Wolf, who is the big bad wolf. So for those of you who don't know the Fables universe, this is a universe where story characters such as the big bad wolf, such as Snow White, Pinocchio, all those kind of characters have been kicked out of their world by a tyrant, and they're now on Earth. They're now in this kind of dimension, and they have their own little corner of their world in America where they live and breathe. And this game follows it's a murder. Somebody gets murdered, and then Bigby Wolf is investigating it. And as you go through the investigation, all these kind of things come up about different characters. So some of the characters that are in there, I've mentioned Snow White. There is
Beauty and the Beast.
Beauty and the Beast. Georgie Porgy is in there.
Georgie Porgy is in there. One of the Three Little Pigs, I think he is.
Yeah, one of the Three Little Pigs who don't like Bigby Wolf. Who could wonder why?
They were friends, kind of.
Yeah, because he's a big bad wolf. Bloody Mary was in there.
She was. There was Toad. There was a Headless Horseman.
Yeah.
The little Toad.
Toad.
He was voiced by Clem.
Yeah, Toad's kid.
Yeah.
There was
2 characters, wasn't she? Because she was also Beast's partner.
Yes.
I can't remember if it was Sleeping Beauty or Beauty.
Yeah, there's
I
there's a
think
lot
she's
of
season
there's a lot of
season 2.
throwbacks to a lot of the characters in there. Now, I actually love
Bluebeard.
Fables. Bluebeard was in there, yes, because you talk about
Bluebeard was Lee
yep, and you talk about
because we had
his
Clara Lee in
wife.
it.
Yep.
Hmm.
There's a lot of references to very common stories in Fables. Is really good. If you get a chance to also check out any of the graphic novels, I'd recommend you do. I'd recommend you stay on the original series. There is a side one with a different character, which is not very good. But the game itself was just amazing. It is an original story, so it's not taken from the graphic novels. I mean, the only thing I can say is that I didn't play this when it first came out. I didn't buy it episodically. I got it all at once, but I did it all in one sitting. So, I mean, each episode's about 2 hours. So,
I think when we played it, I did Halloween last year, and we did the first 4 parts. And the only reason we stopped was because it was like 3 a.m.
yeah.
and everyone else had gone to bed. I was like, I should probably save the end of this. But no, I loved it. I love being a detective. I love fairy tales. I love stories in general. It was great. It was a great time.
And you also had the
yeah.
additional objective of collecting pages from the Book of Fables, which gave you more lore on certain characters. So it'd be different types of stories in that part of the universe from like the bits that's going on with Fables, so the war that's happening on over there, and also the people that are living in Fabletown. I think it is called Fabletown. I think that's the actual name of it.
It's called Fabletown.
Yeah. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed this. For me, this is an A tier. It's not quite as Walking Dead. It is an A tier because it would be the second game that I'd recommend.
See, I don't know if I'd argue for it being an S tier, but maybe that's just because I have such a soft spot for
They
it.
can't all be S tier. We just got
I
one
know they
long
can't
line.
all be S tier, but like, just put them all there. I mean, put like 1 or 2 below. I'm looking at these and thinking I'm going to argue for a lot of them to be quite highly placed.
Yeah. Well, I would say A tier for this. I mean, if
I will accept A tier.
If you would look at
once
it,
the second one comes out, we're going to put that in S tier.
The second one is coming out. It's the first one that's in development after Telltale got rescued. So they got they lost everything.
Been adopted.
Then Skybound came along, which I can't remember who Skybound is owned by, but they came along, they took over, and now they've got more projects, or at least just this one project. But the rumor is
it's a long time coming.
There's going to be a 3rd season of Batman, but they are doing a new one.
They're doing The Expanse or something?
The Expanse, yeah, which is
some kind of Star Trek-y thing. It was announced at
it's an
the
Amazon
Game
Prime
Awards.
TV show. Is The Expanse.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah, it is. I think does it have Halle Berry in it? I don't know. It's just it's got someone in it that is quite famous, and it has been going on for a while. I think there's about 5 or 6 seasons of it, so I'm looking forward to that. I don't know how much.
One thing I will say though is with the Telltale games, even if they're based in a franchise, more often than not, you don't need to know the franchise to enjoy it.
I mean, The Wolf Among Us is
references that you can appreciate if you know the other thing, but like, I haven't seen Walking Dead. I love Walking Dead. I read the Fables after playing Wolf Among Us, and I still haven't read all of them, just a couple. Still love Wolf Among Us. Tales from Borderlands. I did play Borderlands in preparation for that, but I feel like although I wouldn't have understood as much, I still could have enjoyed the story. Game of Thrones didn't. It was you were dealing with another family. Didn't really matter too much. Yeah, I'd say generally you don't need to know the franchise well to enjoy the Telltale version of it.
Yeah, there's not really any ties. It's just the universe that it's in. So
you may see familiar characters, but it'll be okay.
Yeah, nice little cameos sometimes. Okay, next one, Walking Dead Season 2. So after the horrendous events of Walking Dead Season 1, we got a Season 2. This was Clem on her own, more or less, for the first part of it. So at the end of Season 1, something happens. There's a couple of people that she's with, But right at the beginning of season 2, as you can expect,
one of them dies and you get separated from the other.
Yeah, one of them gets immediately just knocked off the census, and then the other one you get separated by. So she is on her own for quite a bit.
You're playing as Clem for the first time.
Yep. So the transition from Lee to Clem happens, and the decisions that you make are more about yourself now. So whereas previously it was about the group and about what's best for the group, the mindset now is switched to survival.
Argue with season 1, and although Lee did overall think the group, there was always like Clem group. At least when I played it, I would be like, yeah, this might be the best for the group, but if Clem doesn't like it, like there was an option to, it's not really a spoiler because it didn't give it, steal from a car, and Clem didn't want to do it. The rest of the group did because they wanted supplies. Clem said no, so I said no.
Yeah, but that was your choice, and that's
was my choice.
How I've.
But
Yeah, I think there was a lot of stuff that I did as well for Clem, knowing that you've got that kind of tie to her, obviously because she's a little baby in the first season.
I don't like children, but I love Clem.
She's very tiny, but that was your choice, and you could argue that the choices really should have swayed in the way of the group in the first season. But like I said, with season 2, you're thinking about yourself and the survival of yourself. So you do meet up with a group.
I say it takes a couple episodes for you to really become a part of that group, though.
Yeah, but you meet up. I think the first group you meet up has a familiar face. So you have the familiar face that turns up from the first season.
Group. That's a little later.
Which is the first group again?
So the first group is Nick, Pete, Luke, Rebecca, Alvin, Sarah, her dad.
Have you got these written down?
No, otherwise I would have known her dad's name. So
you have the first group, and then you meet up with another group, which is where the familiar face turns up, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And
because they're running away from someone from earlier, and then
they
go to the shelter. They're there.
And then it just goes downhill from there. This familiar face. I would argue
it was downhill when we had to run away from a nice, safe house to start with.
Yeah, but I think when you meet up with the second group, it starts to go downhill pretty quick. Because the guy that you're running away from, well, one of the guys that is
they've caught up.
Run away from, get caught up. The second group that you find, they get caught up in it as well. The familiar face loses someone again.
Not till later. He's okay for a while.
He's okay for a while, but then he loses someone again.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's always someone that causes problems. This one is much more. In the first episode, the first season of The Walking Dead, it was humans versus walkers.
It's a lot more humans versus humans here, and
the second
just how
one,
wicked they can be.
The second one is humans versus humans and what people will do to stay alive. And some of the decisions are horrendous because of what happens after those decisions. It's a much darker version of it. Clem's growing up now. In an apocalypse.
There's a lot of argument, even among the group, of she's a child, and she's been through all this stuff. She's better than any of you at this. And
the familiar face is the one that argues for her as well.
Because he's seen what she can do, and he knows what she's been through to a degree. It's when we were together, she'd managed all this. In that time, she's even only grown more.
Yeah.
Which I would agree with. There's so many times you are all inept, let the child do it.
Yeah. And then I think if we skip right to the end of this, there is another kind of... There's two decisions you can make to go with one person or go with another. To go with one person...
Go with neither.
I'll go with neither, yeah. Well, you've got the decision to either kill one of them yourself or let one of them kill the other one. And then when you come after that decision, which is horrible. You then have another decision, which is whether to abandon that person that you've just rescued, or you've saved, and go off on your own because of another decision. So even right up until the end, this is another kind of relentless one, like season 1, but it feels like there's a...
Although it took a while for like the story to build in intensity, the story was really strong.
Yep. Well, the story was really strong. And
even though we had a lot of characters, you still felt like you kind of got that development from them all.
Yeah.
I would also put this in S tier, but again, I'm very nice to them because I love them a lot.
You want season 2 in S tier as well?
I can't help it. I feel like it was really big for just like Clem growing in general. The story was strong. The story was important for a lot of like later things. It feels like if you didn't have season 2, what follows wouldn't work, and not just because, you know, we'd just be missing a chunk of time, but it really was integral to the growing of Clem and you playing her and a lot of the relationships she builds just with people in general in the future.
The only thing I would argue is the motivation in the second game. In the first game, it was very clear what your motivation was. You are surviving against a mindless horde of undead that are out to kill you.
If you want, my argument is that your motivation here depends on how you choose to grow your Clem.
Yep.
Because once you start playing, and obviously you look at the choices and you go, well, this is what either I would do or I would want my Clem to do. And if you go down that track, eventually you will find your motivation and what kind of Clem you want her to be. If you're going at it going, I'm just going to pick random things from everything, it's going to be a little more of a mess.
Yeah. But I think what I'm saying is the motivation for the group was to avoid getting killed by the undead. The motivation for the group here is to run away from someone. So it kind of felt like I didn't kind of share that motivation in it. Whereas like in the first one I was like, yeah, I definitely don't want to get eaten by these guys. But in the second one it was
You're saying you wanted to stay there?
Well, I mean, if you see the fortress that he's got, but then
I'm just also saying, remember what happened to the people we saw there? Oh,
Kenny sorted it out though.
400 days on
I mean, that guy sorted it out.
Yeah,
spoiler alerts.
Just bleep that out. It's fine.
Yeah.
Is 400 days on here?
400 days isn't on here, no. But we didn't talk about that.
Because that took place between these, and like obviously there were cats. Never mind. Doesn't matter.
But that's true. There was 400 days in between season 1 and season 2.
Yeah.
Which introduced the characters to season 2.
Mm-hmm. And a couple of those were more major characters.
Yeah. Okay, I will allow you to S tier it then.
Yay!
Because I think it is very good. It's not a there's not a very clear winner between these two in which one.
I think it took a while for both of them to build momentum, but once they got going, you were just like, well, I just need more. I just need more.
But I think this is better because your motivation is survival. This is the motivation is to just stay away from someone because someone cheated.
I think my motivation was to make Clem the best Clem.
Yeah.
I thought she could be. That was what I took as my motivation.
The problem with these games is, though, no matter what choices you make, nearly everybody ends up dead anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah. In retrospect.
I think in general with Telltale games, that's a big flaw, is a lot of the time you make these choices and you're like, well, I'm going to do this because I would like persons. But the moment an option comes up for someone to die, odds are they're either going to disappear somewhere.
They're going to die eventually. Yeah.
It's just kind of finding a better death for them.
Yeah.
Or like giving them that bit more time on screen and this bit more of a relationship, I guess.
I agree. Okay, let's move on.
Like I said, not restricted just to Walking Dead. That's in most of them.
Let's move on to Tales from the Borderlands. Now, for those of you who've played Telltale games a lot, Tales from the Borderlands is refreshingly...
I know it's a more lighter heart one.
Yeah, it's refreshingly light-hearted.
lighter-hearted.
There's a couple of things that happen that, at least one thing which I actually got quite emotional at, which was really weird. The really good thing about Tales from the Borderlands is that the art style is exactly the same as the Borderlands games. So the transition from a typical Borderlands game into a story Borderlands game is easier. It's got characters that they are original. There's a couple of throwbacks to characters within the Borderlands universe. And if you are playing the Borderlands games in order, you will notice between 2 and 3 that a character actually does die who is a main character that is seen a lot. And in order to understand what happens, you actually have to play this game, because it's in this game that happens. But yeah, like we said, it's very light-hearted.
It's not without its drama and intensity and loss, but it's definitely a little less intense than the previously mentioned titles.
But it does have a boss fight.
Yeah.
It has a boss fight, which
I should put, it's like a mech fight as well.
It's a huge boss fight. So for those of you who know Borderlands, there's the vaults, and each vault is guarded by a vault guardian, who is massive. And the plot of this is the same. You get the key, you open the vault guardian comes out, and then you end up fighting it with one of the group that you pick up, who initially is very tiny, and then becomes this 400-foot monster.
Love them.
But yeah, it has a boss fight. It has a lot of really cool decisions. It has a lot of throwbacks to the Borderlands games, with Hyperion. The main, would you say the main antagonist is Handsome Jack? I think he still is.
I think for the first chunk, I'd argue he's more like a protagonist.
Yeah, because you pick him up, don't you? He's sort of around, kind of helping you.
Helping for a while. So I'd say eventually I'd put him as one of the main protagonists, but initially I think I wouldn't say he's the worst thing we have going on.
No, he's not the worst thing. You do get to see inside his office. You get to see Butt Stallion. Did you shoot Butt Stallion?
Chat lied to me.
Chat lied to you and you shot Butt Stallion.
I had them from Damien himself. I'm calling Damien out here. He promised me that if I shot him, it'd be fine. It would just bounce off. It didn't bounce off.
Nope. You shot Butt Stallion. You hurt Butt Stallion. I
did not feel good about it. I was lied to.
I'm not sure what to say to that.
I'm not sure what to say to that. I still don't know what happened there.
And then you escape, and it's during the escape that I got really emotional. When
I can see why.
Loaderbot pushes you into the escape pod, and you're just like, no, we can't both fit in. And he's like, you can choose, and he's like, I know. And then just gives you the fist bump before he gets...
I think another thing we haven't discussed about with this, because obviously we've discussed our protagonists in the previous one, here you play as two quite different characters.
Yeah, it kind of had a... for those of you who played Assassin's Creed Syndicate, it kind of had an Assassin's Creed Syndicate vibe, because you had one main character... I can't remember her name. Fiona. You played as Fiona, and the other one was Reese.
I loved Reese too, but I think I had more fun playing as Fiona, personally.
Yes.
Just because she had more of my kind of style.
And they were two completely different people.
They were really different characters. And obviously, because you were playing them as individuals, you could also have it that they didn't necessarily agree on everything. I think there were times where you could choose between, with Reese, if you trusted Fiona or you trusted Jack. And stuff like that, where it's although you were playing as them both, you weren't playing cooperatively the whole time, depending on how you chose things.
Yeah. And some of your decisions with Reese would antagonize Fiona, and some of them with Fiona would antagonise Rhys. But at the end of the day, those decisions aren't actually the important ones, which was really weird.
Yeah.
It's. I'm not gonna spoil it, but it is the decisions on how you speak to one individual and how you treat another individual is the main catalyst behind how the game ends and what kind of support you get. So as you're going around, you do have to collect support from certain other individuals. So Zero's in there from the first Borderlands. Yeah. You've got Scooter from the Borderlands, and a few other individuals. There's one that's voiced by Nolan North.
That wasn't everything. I was going to say we had Athena or whatever her name was.
Athena's in there, yeah.
We had the two random thugs, one of whom was voiced by Lee's voice actor, and the whole time I was like, I gotta keep him as alive as possible because it's Lee and I don't want to hurt him. Yeah. Didn't end well. I tried.
But yeah, if you collect more people, the more people you've actually got during the boss fight to pilot the mech or the what was the Power Rangers one called? Megazord.
There's also currency in this one.
I can't remember
which
that.
you don't really have in the others. Yeah, no, you have to pick up money and you can spend. Obviously, if you have your money, you can spend it on certain customization for your character or your rides.
Okay.
And depending on what you have at the end, I think you can also buy a bounty hunter. But I didn't have enough because I bought the very interesting ride instead. So
yes, you can.
There was a bit of customization to that you don't really get with the others.
Yeah.
Which I thought I'd put in there because I think you forgot about.
I did forget about that.
Yeah.
Overall, I think this is a completely different Telltale game to any of the other ones. Like I said, it's really light-hearted. The decision mechanic is really good, but there's no decisions that are... Well, there's not a lot of decisions. In fact, I can't even think of one where it's like, if I make this decision, someone will die.
No, I was going to say, we've got a couple of decisions that even don't end up being real decisions. It's like, oh yes, this is what they were thinking about and telling this wrong. That was another thing. Unreliable narratives. We don't get many of those in Telltale games, but we had some of this, and I really enjoyed that aspect.
Yeah, because there's one part which you're playing, which is actually a flashback of somebody telling somebody else what happened to somebody else.
And then the other character's like, no, that was not what happened.
Yeah, that's not what happened. And then you go back and you play the same situation again from a different person's point of view. So yeah, I
really loved that.
Yeah.
I thought that was really neat.
There's one bit where they're going on...
unreliable narrator. I think it's so fun. Obviously it has that lingering doubt, and the rest of it, you're like, is this what happened?
Yeah.
Especially when they go off on their own. So you're like, maybe.
Yeah, because when we're talking about the how Fiona and Rhys don't really get along, there's one time when she's telling a story about the flashbacks, and it's Rhys and the other guy, and they're just going bro, and she's telling it, and he's just like, that's not how we talk. I don't talk like that. And it's like,
it's great. It's so good.
It is. Okay, so where we're going to put this, I really like this. I don't know if I like it better than Wolf Among Us. I certainly don't think it's not a mid kind of tier one for me.
It's definitely not mid. Here's the thing I was going to say. Maybe I put S tier just because initially it was going to be one of my lowest ranking, but then I was like, do I love it more than Wolf Among Us? I don't know if I do. I love Wolf Among Us so much, but I don't know if that's just because of my bias towards that kind of story more so than Borderlands. I'm not sure.
The thing is, you can't replay Tales from the Borderlands.
No.
There's no decisions in it.
No.
That motivate me to play it again to get a different ending. In fact, I don't think you can get a different ending. I think the ending is more or less predetermined as to what happens.
I think you could probably have some different characters with you at the end, but
and I think that's the only thing. Yeah, maybe different. I think those different characters give different abilities.
Customize yourself a little differently.
Yeah, but I think from a replayability, the story's great.
Yeah.
But I think.
I put Wolf Among Us before it.
Yeah, you can replay all of these. Yeah. But you can't this one. It doesn't mean it's a bad game. No, it's a great game when you play it.
And I'd recommend you experience it yourself because it is a lovely game.
I don't know if you can still get it. If you can still get it, get it.
I don't know.
I
don't know. I
but
just know I owned it.
yeah, it might be on Steam again now, actually.
It might be, because obviously they put a bunch of them back up.
Yeah.
Oh, and I think I saw it on the Switch not too long ago.
All right.
So it might be on the Switch.
I think you can get hard
Some of the
copy
Telltale
versions of
ones
it.
are on there.
You can get hard copy versions of it, definitely. Okay, right. Game of Thrones. I think this is...
That's what I'm going to say. I loved it. I loved it a lot.
Wasn't this 6 parts instead of 5?
It was, yeah.
So this was a longer one.
Mm-hmm.
The art style was very weird for me.
The art style was not my favorite of the ones we've had, but it did grow. Like, the more I played it, the more it didn't bother me.
Yeah.
It was. I think the thing is, with all the other ones we've done so far, they have these like stylistic kind of lines and stuff that this one lacked.
This one tried to be very serious in its art style and its approach to everything, really. The tone is right for the Game of Thrones kind of universe, but the art style, to me, it tried to be more sophisticated than it is. And I think when you do that and you are trying to make the characters look as realistic as possible, when, let's face it, this came out, I think, PS3 era, so the graphics capability wasn't exactly stupendous. When you're playing that later on, it really does date it. Whereas Tales from the Borderlands doesn't date because it's cartoony. Wolf Among Us, cartoony. Walking Dead, like you said, it had the lines. But this is the most dated one, I think, out of all of them, from an art style perspective.
I would agree.
Yeah. From a story perspective, now for those of you who are aware of the Song of Ice and Fire books, there's about 7 million different perspectives in each book. The game is no different. You have, I think, 4 storylines going alongside each other.
4 or 5.
You've got the guy in the desert. You've got the girl.
We've got Mira. We've got I was gonna call him Reese. Then that's the wrong one. The fluffy golden-haired rogue boy who's a lot of fun to play.
Yeah. He's the one that goes to the desert and the.
Yeah. He's Desert Boy. We've got a buddy Tussle on the wall.
Yeah, you got the wall.
We've got Little Brother for a while. I guess I'm saying 5, but really one of them you don't play at one point and then it's replaced by another.
Yeah. So I think there's about 5 going on side by side.
Almost all of them are from the same family, bar one.
Well, I think that's intentional. I think they're all from the same family.
But they're all still motivated to protect the family.
Yes. The really good thing that this does is it actually ties it in with the TV show. So you get appearances from Tyrion. Mira actually interacts quite heavily with Marjorie. And then you're at the wall, so you've got some other characters at the wall. Cersei?
We have Jon Snow for a bit. Cersei's in it. Cersei's in it quite heavily. Yeah.
So it does tie in well.
The show, but Brienne of Tarth gets a mention. She doesn't appear, but I was pleased with that one.
Yeah.
Yay, Gwenny.
But this ties in with the TV show, and it's very specific that it ties in with the TV show and not the novels. So this is purely canon with the TV series.
I will say though,
Yep.
I feel like because you're playing this family that isn't one of the show or the book families, though, you have a lot more freedom when it comes to your choices, and because this family could just disappear from existence, and it probably wouldn't matter to the show or the books. Whereas obviously playing it matters a lot to you because this is your family.
Mm-hmm. I think it actually kind of. This is the first one that I think you would benefit from actually watching the TV show. Because you've got the guy that comes in and does the torturing. I can't remember what his name is. Ramsay. Yeah, he comes in.
I think you'd benefit from watching the show, but it's not impossible to do it without, because although I did watch a little bit of a show a long time ago, it didn't I don't know if it was better or worse. It didn't impact my choices knowing what could happen in the future based on where we were timing wise. People are like, oh, it's around here, and I was like, that means nothing to me. So I'm just gonna do what I think would work best for these characters that also don't know what's coming.
Yeah. But if you wanted to get a bit more backstory from it, especially from the cameos, or what's happening in the world, because they do kind of mention what's happening at King's Landing and stuff like that. You might.
I mean, you're in King's Landing for a good bit.
Yeah, you might benefit from that.
Actually, time with her.
Overall, the story is decent. I
really enjoyed the story. I think a lot of it will depend on how you play who you have.
Yeah, because some of them can be really boring.
A lot of it depends on the kind of choice you make and like what you prioritize is like strategy, just like being bold and brave or whatever. Because there are definitely times where it's like you could speak up, but you also might get someone very hurt or killed for it.
Yeah.
One thing I really loved for Game of Thrones was this sense of like anyone could die.
Yes.
None of my protagonists felt safe the whole time. I thought I could end it with like one or none.
Yeah.
It definitely felt unlike with the other Telltale games where you're like, well, someone could die here or they're gonna die later. Here it's like, well, someone could die at any point. No one is safe. I don't know who's gonna live. I might have just killed my whole family.
Yeah. And that's the same with everything that in sort of the Song of Ice and Fire. I think everybody felt that about the TV shows. It definitely feels like that in the books. And the fact that they carried that over into the game as well is, that is a well done story. That is a well done piece of narrative that they've done there. But then again, you say that, but the decisions, I think there is a couple, but I think they're more towards the end where things start to unravel, because it is, without giving too much away, it is the downfall of a family. And it just gets worse and worse and worse for the people that you're playing as.
I think every Telltale game we've done so far, it's like you start off doing okay, and then as it goes on, you're like, oh god, everyone's dying. I'm gonna lose everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, this one felt...
It takes, you kind of ease into it with like some gentle awfulness, and then it's like, there's no stopping this hell train now, help.
Yeah. It has got some themes that the other ones don't have, which are very Game of Thronesy, so probably not the best one to start with.
No.
Ease yourself in on this, but if you've watched Game of Thrones, you kind of know what I'm talking about.
I'd also say, in terms of general content warnings and like gore and stuff, maybe this is one of the worst ones. I don't know.
Well, like I said,
with all of them just generally go into it being like, don't expect there to be no stylized gore. It is stylized. It's not like you're seeing straight up someone being mauled or their heads cut off or whatever, but it's still there, and it's still sometimes a little unexpected.
Are you thinking about the guy that's getting tortured by the tree?
I wasn't initially, but now you mentioned that one too.
Yeah.
I was just thinking in general of all the ones you mentioned so far, these moments, I was like, oh yeah, that happened.
Yeah.
That was hard to watch for some people.
Yeah, there are some really uncomfortable scenes there.
Yeah.
I think this is quite out of the ones that we've said so far. I know you love it. I think this is definitely the worst one so far. I wouldn't put this...
I don't know if I like it more than Tales of Borderlands.
You don't like it more than Tales of Borderlands?
I might like it more than Borderlands. I might.
Oh no.
I'm sorry. I had so much fun playing these characters. I got really into it. And like I said, I liked how, unlike the other games, it didn't feel as predetermined a lot of the time.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Not great, I'm assuming. I remember sending you and Jay like a lengthy paragraph once I was done with like my thoughts on it.
Yes, you did. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would refuse to put it in front of Tales from the Borderlands. I put it alongside it.
I will at least give it an A. Don't give it a B. It's so better than that.
Because it's an original story. Because it's an original story with original characters, and it still felt like it would fit in.
It still felt like a Telltale game.
It still felt like a Telltale game, but also it felt like
it was also different.
A Game of Thrones story. I will allow it.
Yay!
Okay.
Oh, I don't know what we're gonna put in B. I'm gonna be honest.
Okay, well, Walking Dead, Michonne, you've not finished this.
Oh, yeah. This one I might be tempted to put B.
This is
I'm just going back.
so this is not a full game. This is
No, it's only 3
a
parts.
3-episode. It bridged the gap between season 2 and season 3 to provide Telltale with some Walking Dead content, possibly to keep the license. It is canon with the graphic novels, in that it is the time period between when Michonne disappears and then reappears. So this is the period that's being covered. It involves Michonne going out on her own. You deal with a lot of her, should we say, mental health issues. So the backstory for Michonne, which you get in this, and if you've read the graphic novels, you will know, and I think it also touches upon it in the TV show. Michonne's kids... So Michonne was quite a successful business woman, and her kids died. I believe it was a fire that the kids died in, and she relives this moment over and over again, and she's trying to get to the kids, but she can't. Which you can understand would break a person. You are dealing with that as well as The Walking Dead, and this group of people led by a very horrible woman. I can't remember the woman's name, but she is the worst. She might actually be the worst
I was gonna say
bad
Joan.
guy.
It's not Joan. It's oh god, Nancy, Betty, something like that.
I think
it's
Nancy.
like
I think it's
old,
Nancy.
old like Southern woman
Yeah.
kind of vibe.
She is horrible.
I'm gonna say I haven't watched the show or read the graphic novels, and that hasn't obviously. I'm less attached to Michonne than any other character we've played.
She's not a great character. They actually gave her...
I don't find her particularly fun to play. I'm just gonna say I don't find her particularly fun to play. I don't know if it's just because I don't have that attachment to her from previous media. I just, of everyone we've played so far, she's the one I'm like,
Yeah, she's not got much in the way of character development. She's a she's a very kind of she's a very reclusive person. She's dealing with her mental health issues. I don't know if you want to call them. Well,
I think I'd say that a lot of the other, like especially if we go like Walking Dead, we have characters with trauma.
Yeah.
That's guaranteed in these things with everything going on. But they somehow feel like they've got more to them than that. Whereas Michonne just kind of feels like she has trauma, and that's about it. That's her character. She is traumatized and hits things with a machete.
And she's also willing to ditch anyone at any time.
Yeah, like I'm really struggling to get attached to any other characters in it. No one else really feels like. Obviously, Walking Dead, I've loved basically every character we had, or I strongly hated. Like, I had strong feelings. Every character we met. Michonne, no, I don't really feel too much for anyone. I'm like, yeah, you're here. It'd be nice if you lived. You're nice, but like, if I lose you, I don't really feel like it's a major loss. I don't know if it's because it's only 3 parts that's kind of impacted that, but I just don't feel the same attachment to previous Telltale games. It's a bit meh.
No, it is a bit meh. I think it's easily the worst one. I'm going to put it in B at the moment, but I think we'll move that down when we've put other stuff in here.